Okay, Andrew, thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is Andrew. I'm speaking to Andrew Dunn from Crossbridge Scientific. Andrew, I was wondering if you could just give a little bit more information about the research that's underpinning your early stage business.
Okay, so Crossbridge Scientific's developing a wearable device called Kudu Smart, which is a small device you put on your arm when you're exercising and can measure the amount of sweat that you're producing. And the core idea for this came from Dr. Christoph Sweening, who teaches physiology in the University of Cambridge. And he was trying to look at ways he could improve his marathon running times. And he hit on the concept that thermoregulation was one of the things that might be limiting his performance. And one of the ways that you get rid of the waste heat whilst exercising is through sweating. So if you can't measure it, you can't improve your whatever system, whatever physiology system you're trying to optimize. And so he tried to look at ways in which you could develop a small device which could show you how much you're sweating from one day to the next.
That's very interesting, watching how research has come to a commercial use. I know you've come for a couple of our programs, and I was wondering if you could highlight on perhaps one of the workshops you've attended and if it's been particularly relevant to you on your startup journey.
I think several of the workshops have been really quite illuminating. I'd had prior experience in doing startups anyway, so it's good to get refreshers, but there's also new ideas coming along at various times. One of the areas that I'm not particularly good at is marketing, I think, and trying to focus in on what it is that your customers actually want. So it's all right getting the technology just so, but you could be developing exactly the wrong thing or not quite the right thing that's going to make your customers happy. So reiterating some of those messages about trying to get your focus on customers right and trying to understand what it is that they want and then how you might communicate that back to them so that they know that you're developing something that's useful to them. And I also thought the workshop on user experience design was particularly useful. It's design generally is something I've been increasingly interested in over the past few years, and it's one of the core differentiators from one product to another. So when you're developing a physical device that people use, the way it feels in the hand, the sort of experience you get on the feedback from the software that you're using, all of those sort of things can be crucial in developing customer satisfaction and their appreciation of your product.
It'd be interesting to know also about how you found the network grow, the actual Merlin network and the cohort you've been meeting at various events, and how that's helped you.
Sure. I mean, I'd say it's difficult to separate because Cambridge has actually got a really strong entrepreneurship, innovation ecosystem around it. So in fact, some of the people I met on the workshop I've also seen in other networking events around Cambridge. But it's certainly, I find it invigorating to be meeting up with people who are facing many of the same problems that you are. When you're working on a startup, it can sometimes feel a bit lonely when you're not getting the results that you want as quickly. And I've usually come away from learning workshops feeling invigorated and willing to tackle the challenges that are looking insurmountable of the problem. And I think by the same token, I've met several people on the Merlin workshops where I've been able to give advice and support and just answer simple questions, where you're getting that support network that says you're not doing this alone, that there's actually a bigger picture, that you don't have to solve every problem yourself.
And then just casting your mind back to the workshop we've attended this morning with Pete Lomas, I was wondering if there was any take-home that you particularly it was in the forefront of your mind, if there was a key take-home from today.
So that's interesting. Obviously, Pete Lomas is one of the founders in the Raspberry Pi story, and the Raspberry Pi has been a brilliant part of the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Cambridge. I'd actually heard several parts of the story from more local people within Cambridge about how Raspberry Pi came about, in particular Eben Upton. So it was great to get Pete's view on the actual electronics. And that resonated with me because there's electronics at the core of our wearable device, the Kudu Smart. And one of the challenges I have there is that the rate at which you can iterate and test and improve your device when you're working with physical devices is so much slower than when you're working with software. And so it was interesting to get some of Pete's views about the way that you might be able to improve that feedback cycle. But it sounds to me like it is still just quite slow and quite hard when you're dealing with electronics.
But important to address.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, you can't just assume you're going to get everything right from day one, so the ability to iterate is crucial.
Yeah. Andrew, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event.
Absolutely.
Thank you.